Educational Information and Communication Technology presents Educational Satellite Television Programs.
Hello, teacher. Hello, students. Welcome to today's lesson on the evidence of evolution from paleontology. In our last lesson, we learned about Darwinian theory of evolution. Today, we will be learning about how fossils and traces of prehistoric organisms explain and prove evolution. Students, let us begin the class by defining the science of paleontology. Paleontology is the study of ancient life. Fossils are the main focus of this science, as they are the direct link to knowledge of a past life. Paleontology is referred to as a historical science because it tries to explain causes rather than conduct experiments to observe effects. Fossils are the remains or traces of animals, plants, and other organisms from the past. Scientists group them into two categories. The first category consists of the remains of the dead animal, plant, or the imprint left from the remains of the organisms. It can be the whole organism or part of the organism. This includes bones, teeth, skin impressions, hair, hardened shells, and impression of the animal or plant parts, even if the actual part is not there. The second category consists of something that was made by the animal while it was living that has hardened into stone. The fossils in this category are called trace fossils. Some examples of fossils found in this category are footprints, feces or holes, tunnels or trails dug into the ground by animals. For the first activity, students, let us look at a list of different types of fossils. On a piece of notebook paper, write down the name of the fossil and state whether it is a Category 1 fossil or a Category 2 fossil.
Students, let's get ready. Begin. Time's up. Let's get back to our lesson.
Welcome back, students. The answers to the activity are as follows. A feather is category 1. An eggshell is category 2. A burrow is category 2. An imprint of a fish is category 1. A tooth is category 1. We will now learn how fossils are created. It is not easy for deceased organisms to become a fossil. They need specific conditions to prevent them from being uncovered, decomposed, or eaten by other organisms. There are 4 main stages that an organism must go through to become a fossil. Stage 1 is death. The plant or animal must die in or close to water. Water must immediately cover the dead organism to insulate the remains from being exposed to elements that could cause it to decompose. If the organism is in water, bacteria will still decay the soft body parts, like the skin, tissues, or organs, but leaves the hard body parts, like teeth and bones. The second stage is called sedimentation. Sediment is tiny particles of solid matter that have settled. Fossilization can happen when sediment buries the remaining hard parts of the organism, which further insulates the organism from decay. If sedimentation happens quickly, fossilization is more likely to happen. A landslide or mudslide is a great example of how sedimentation can happen quicker. The sediment that covers the fossil will influence what the fossil looks like. If a fine-grained sediment, like clay, insulates the organism, the fossil will be more detailed than if it were covered by something like sand. Also, the color of the sediment will affect the color of the fossil. Permineralization is the third stage. In this stage, minerals from water form casts of an organism inside the sediment. When the amount of sediment increases around an organism, the sediment slowly turns to rock. If water rich in minerals seeps through, the minerals stick to the particles of sediment. It then holds together, like it is glued in a solid mass. This is a cast. Over time, the minerals trapped in the cast dissolve away the organism's hard parts, replacing the molecules of the skeleton with calcium carbonate molecules. In time, the remains of the mineralized organism are pressed into the rock. The rock takes the shape of the original organism. The final step is called uplift. When the plates of the earth move, they collide into one another to form mountains. What were once sea floors lift up to become dry land. Now, the fossil that was once buried in rock under the water is now in a different strata. Stratum is a layer of sediment that is the same throughout the layer, but different from layers above and below it. When the plates of the earth move, different parts of the strata become exposed. Rock on the Earth's surface is eroded by rain, wind, earthquakes, and freezing temperatures. Over time, the fossils that are buried within the rock are slowly uncovered. Students, for our next activity, can you explain why sedimentation needs to occur in order for an organism to become a fossil?
Students, let's get ready. Begin. Time's up. Let's get back to our lesson.
Welcome back, students. Sedimentation is an important part of the fossilization process because it covers the dead organisms with the materials that prevent it from decomposing. Sediment also will eventually become the cast of the organism when it becomes a fossil. There are two ways of dating a fossil: relative and absolute. Absolute is the more precise method used by scientists. Relative dating is finding out which fossils are younger or older. A system called stratigraphy is used to determine this. Stratigraphy states that sedimentary rock is laid down in layers, or strata. The deeper layers of the strata are older than the layers closer to the surface of the earth. Therefore, scientists can go through the sequence of layers to determine approximately how old organisms are and how they have changed over time. Absolute dating gives an actual age based on the physical or chemical properties of the fossil. Scientists know the lifespan of molecules and how long it takes for them to break down. By studying the fossil's materials, they can determine the age by simply knowing the life stage of the material's molecules. An example of this is in radiocarbon dating, where scientists study the decay of radioactive atoms, such as carbon or potassium in a fossil. We are at the end of our lesson for today, students. To review, we have learned about paleontology as evidence of evolution, what fossils are, and how they are formed. Until next time, thank you, teacher. Thank you, students.